It happened the first time when I was lying on my left side, just trying to fall asleep like any other night. Suddenly, I felt this crushing pressure on my chest. I couldn't move, couldn't scream. My body was frozen. Panic hit me hard. I was trapped in my own bed. Then, out of the silence, I heard it. A whisper, right by my ear, just coming in to say goodnight. The voice was cold, calm, but filled with something dark underneath. I didn't dare turn my head or open my eyes. The words sent a chill straight through me. As the whisper faded, I realized I was being pushed, slowly but steadily, towards the edge of the bed. It wasn't rough, more like a force I couldn't fight, a presence pressing me sideways. Every bit of me wanted to resist, but I was helpless. The bed felt too small, the walls closing in, and the darkness beyond was waiting. I tried to shout, to move, anything, but nothing happened. All I could do was listen and feel that terrible weight, like something was right there, watching me, making sure I stayed exactly where it wanted. Eventually, the pressure eased, and I was able to move again. My heart was racing, and sweat clung to my skin. I didn't sleep the rest of the night, waiting for that whisper to come back. When morning came, the room looked the same, but I knew it wasn't. Something had been close. Too close. That was the worst time, but it happened 2 more times after that. No voices, no pushing, just that same panic and paralysis waiting in the dark, keeping me trapped. I haven't told many people because it sounds insane, but every night, I'm afraid that quiet voice might return to say goodnight again, or maybe something worse. She visits me at night, every night. It started with small things, a creak on the stairs, a soft scratch at the door. I thought it was the house settling, but I live alone, and the sounds got worse. If I sleep in another room, it's quieter, but I still hear her. Fingernails tapping, no, dragging, across the door of my old bedroom. The door I keep locked, always, because if I forget, she comes in. She sits on my chest in the dark. Whispers stream out of her, a wet, hissing noise close to my ear. Psst, psst, over and over. When I open my eyes, she stops. She's in the middle of the room, staring at me. Eyes red, wide open, shining like coals, and a mouth split so wide it tears at both ends. Teeth fill her face. She never blinks. She doesn't have legs, just arms, long and bone-thin, stretched out in front as she drags herself all the way across the parquet. Something wet drips where she moves, leaving black stains under my old bed. I used to tell myself it was a dream, but there are scratch marks deep in the wood from her claws. Some nights, the wood thumps and bends under her weight, a noise too heavy for a dream. All the doors and windows are locked at night, always. But every single morning, the door to my old room is open, swinging wide, no matter how tight I shut it. The black spot under the bed grows a little bigger each week, and as I walk past, it seems to pulse. Sometimes I see a faint handprint, smudged and leaking through the grain of the wood. I thought about moving out, living somewhere new, but I'm afraid she'll follow. She never leaves the old room for long. If I stay out of it, she waits. But each night, she seems to get closer, like the distance between us is shrinking with every sunrise. I still hear her hissing. Every time I close my eyes, I see those jagged teeth and feel her crawling up beside me, pulling me back toward the room. I used to think morning was safe, but now, when I pass the door, something knocks from the other side. It sounds like fingernails, asking if it's time to let her in. I'm not a superstitious person. I always believed, even since I was a child, that my sleep disorders, including paralysis and lucid dreams, were neurological in nature. Then one night something different happened. It had never happened before and has never happened again. I had short out-of-body experiences before, mostly just a limb popping out or sitting up and leaving my body lying down. It's hard to explain. The following occurred after many of these experiences, so I was not afraid or shocked by them at this point. It's par for the course. One night, as I was trying to fall asleep, My arm fell through the bed. Obviously, my physical arm was still lying on the bed. Usually when this happens, I just pick my arm up, but this time I got curious. How long would it last? So I started waving my arm around and my shoulder slipped through. This was new and exciting. I moved my fingers around, swung my arm around some more, and got bold. I consciously attempted to push my head through the bed. It worked. But what I saw was nothing. I don't mean I couldn't see, but it was as if something was in fact nothing in this place. I must sound totally bonkers right now. I could feel, though, that there was something. Farther away. My fear being exactly 0 at this point, and my curiosity impossible to control. I threw caution to the wind and tried to reach out as far as I could for whatever it was I could feel out there. Big mistake. My leg slipped. The rest of my torso slipped. My other arm slipped, and my hips started to fall in. At the very last moment, when my left leg was all that was attached, and it was about to go, I realized somehow that what I was reaching for was not a thing I wanted to interact with. There was fear, of an intensity equal to my rage during sleep paralysis. Fear like I've never experienced. At this point, I tried to pull back, but there was nothing I could do. I tried to swing my leg back up to smash into my body, but it was stretched down, like being pulled into a void. My other knee slipped. Nothing but my foot, ankle, and part of my left hip were holding me up at this point. I was pretty sure I was about to be gone, whatever that means. Just at that last second, something reached in, grabbed my shoulder, and yanked me back up. Like it was nothing. I can't really explain this properly either. The hand felt solid, powerful, like I was in its natural habitat. It pulled me back up with all the difficulty of lifting a cotton ball. I slammed back into my body with a feeling of finality, as if to say, no fucking way I'm letting you fall into that. Directly and immediately into a state of sleep paralysis. This is the one time I just lay there. No fear, no rage, no attempt to move. My instincts said whatever was pinning me down had just saved my ass from something I probably never want to understand. I've continued to have the regular sleep-related issues since that day, and to my shame, I've continued to react as I always do. I rarely have any reasoning abilities during my episodes, just running on pure instinct. But I can tell you for absolute certainty that if what I was falling into was your infinity, you want nothing to do with what's on the other side of it. And your bitch might just be doing what she is doing to save you from it. Think about it. Just for a moment, I'll take a superstitious lane. What would it feel like to have your soul locked into your body so that it couldn't be pulled out? Probably a lot like paralysis. I have been having bouts of sleep paralysis since I was 16. It usually goes like this. I wake up from a light sleep. Sometimes my eyes are open and sometimes not. I'm aware of my surroundings and I can hear whatever is happening, but I cannot move. By pure force of will, I am able to slightly move my head. If I begin to think about my breath, I usually start to panic because it is very hard to control. On a rare occasion, I will hallucinate while paralyzed. This usually involves a feeling or sound. I once heard the front door open and a cat meow. I then felt the cat jump onto the bed and rub its fur on my arm. I had no cat. The act of breaking the sleep paralysis feels like a battle of willpower. It is like trying to break free of a force that is holding you still. Each attempt is exhausting. It will usually take 4 or 5 tries, and after each try, I feel myself sink a bit back into myself. It's like backing up to get a run at trying to break through a door. I push and push until I can't anymore. Eventually, I push through and wake up all the way. Sometimes after I wake up, I have a cloudy mind for hours afterwards. On a really bad night, I may have half a dozen or more bouts of sleep paralysis. I have developed techniques for dealing with it. Sleeping on my side is the best deterrent. If I can keep from getting panicked about breathing, then I am sometimes able to ignore it altogether and just fall back to sleep. This has been a great source of some awesome lucid dreaming. I have been dealing with it for 22 years now. You may find it comforting to know that not once have I been permanently paralyzed, obviously. I've always been able to get up and suffered little more than just being scared. I have, on more than one occasion, been paralyzed while watching the clock. I was able to see the passing minutes while I lay there. Because of this, I am convinced it is a real thing and not me just dreaming I am paralyzed. I also one time fell asleep in a room full of people and they witnessed my paralysis. They said my eyes were open and I was shaking my head slightly, but they didn't realize anything was going on. I was trying to get their attention to see if they touched me, if it would help. I was 8 years old when it first happened. I woke up in a panic. Something felt wrong. Something was in the room with me. I tried to scream, but my mouth wouldn't move. I quickly realized I couldn't move my body either. Every bit of strength and focus only let me blink, or maybe wiggle a finger. There was no escape from this. I saw them. Something was there with me. Something that wasn't human. I wanted to call for my mum or dad in the next room, but I couldn't even make a noise. And then I saw them. If I could have screamed, I would have done it then. They didn't walk. They glided. They moved toward my bed and looked down at me, their bodies stretched and twisted, like some horrible joke about what people should look like. I knew they wanted to hurt me. Even as a child, I felt it deep in my gut. The stark white light flooded through my window. Was all of that light really from the moon? Their awful, skinny bodies moved in front of it, blocking out the world. My sister was asleep in the same room, and I hoped with every tear that I could wake her to save me. But I couldn't move at all. One of them came up close, his giant black eyes filling my vision, and he put his finger to his lips. He knew I wanted to scream. That's all I remembered. I woke up the next day feeling bruised and foggy, like my head was stuffed with wool and my body had been stomped on. I went downstairs. My parents were eating breakfast, talking about work and errands. I couldn't hold it in. I told them what I saw. They gave each other uneasy looks. Their beliefs gave them an explanation. Soon enough, they told me Satan hates people who believe in Jesus. The man from Sunday school, I asked. Yes, my mum said. Satan sends demons to punish believers. That's what those things were last night. It was the worst kind of answer. The Prince of Darkness hates me personally. He sends monsters to my room every night, and the visitations kept going for almost 10 years. One night, it got so bad my dad called my grandpa for advice. He blessed my door frame and prayed over me. He kissed my forehead, and I drifted off to sleep. The next time, I woke up crushed into my bed. Something was there, a face that filled the whole ceiling, giant black eyes I couldn't look away from. I was trapped, begging for help inside my own head. Years later, I read about something called sleep paralysis. Everything made sense. The pressure, the monsters, the terror. It wasn't demons, it wasn't aliens. My brain was just glitching, mixing up dreams and waking. And with that truth, everything finally stopped. But for the rest of my life, I always sleep facing the wall, with the blanket covering my head. When someone asks why, I don't want to tell them. I actually have it fairly often, so much so now that I realize when it's occurring. These days I just close my eyes and won't open them no matter what I feel or hear. Doing this though doesn't force me to wake up, and I still have to wait for it to end. I still feel and hear everything. Sometimes I feel like I'm being dragged somewhere, or just constantly feel like something is touching me, along with muffled voices. Before I learned to cope with it, I'd seen quite a few awful things. Horror films don't really do anything for me anymore because I've already seen the most terrifying things I ever could. Here are a few things I remember off the top of my head. A little girl in the corner of my room staring at me, then without notice, she shrieks and runs up and starts choking me. A large dark figure, kind of a human silhouette, emerging from the foot of my bed and staring down at me. Something banging and scraping on my bedroom door. I keep it locked at night because I have had ones that open by themselves. Edit. No, the door isn't open when I wake up. It only opens in the dream. My bedroom door opening by itself, followed by dark figures coming into my room. The earliest one I can remember is with my mother in the room, and she's sitting on my bed. Her face morphs into a demon-like thing. Many others. The worst thing is when you try to fight or call for help. Your voice doesn't work, and your body will not respond. You just feel helpless. Ugh, I need to stop trying to remember these things. I'm getting chills. I can always tell what is about to happen, so I try to scream and wake someone up to shake me out of it. If that does not work, I try to move my limbs and force myself to roll out of bed and wake up. This typically does not work, so I know it's time for the visit. A shadow forms along the floorboards of my bedroom and starts going up the walls. I can then feel the presence of radio TV static. This shadow starts to form into a demon similar to the early renditions of Slender Man. He has no eyes or face, just little balls of static where the facial structure should be. He slowly starts edging closer and closer to my face, and the volume of the static rises, and I can feel it very lightly shocking me. It then puts me in some weird trance by grabbing the sides of my face and screaming directly into it. This is the scariest part. The scream is so shrill I can't even describe to you how terrible it is. As this happens, the room starts to turn red, and these giant arms start to form into long spikes. So while I'm stunned and hypnotized, it starts taunting me with the spikes, rubbing them around my neck and heart, etc. He then reaches up and stabs me directly in the throat, and I wake up. I apologize again for the sloppy typing. If enough people are interested, I'll post a painting I did of it and fill you in about 3 other ones I get once in a while. It started with a strange feeling, like the room was colder than it should be. I opened my eyes to look around, hoping I'd just imagined it. That's when I saw it, at the base of my bed. A cat-sized shadow, blacker than the dark, formless but heavy as a stone. I thought it was a trick of the light, but it moved, slow and careful, crawling up onto my blankets. I tried to sit up or shake my legs, but my body stuck to the mattress, as if something was weighing me down. I watched as the shadow crept across the sheet, pressing the covers tight where its paws should be. No sound, not even the rustle of fabric. It stopped for a moment, like it was listening to my heartbeat, before crawling up toward my chest. I could feel a weight with every inch, cold seeping through the blankets, pinning me still. Its shape changed as it climbed. Sometimes it seemed stretched, then balled up, but always too dark, like it swallowed what little light there was. When it reached my chest, it settled right over my heart. My skin prickled. There was a buzzing in my ears, faint at first, then loud enough to blur my thoughts. I tried to cry out, but my voice wouldn't work. Each breath felt harder, the shadow pressing down, almost gentle, like a hand holding me in place. I could see 2 small, red glints in the shadow's center, as if it was studying me. I shut my eyes and tried to will it away, but its weight remained. Eventually, morning came. I woke with the blankets twisted around me and my chest aching, like something small and cold had sat there all night. I tell myself it was just a dream, but some nights, when I turn out the lights, I see a darker spot at the foot of the bed. I never leave my feet uncovered now, just in case it decides to come back and finish what it started. I've had cycles of sleep paralysis for as long as I can remember and regularly see 2 different demons. The hallucinations are visual and auditory, and you can physically feel them at times. They have become more vivid as I've gotten older. One is a tall, dark, hooded figure that always stood at the bottom of my bed. My scariest experience with him was when I woke up one night with sleep paralysis, and the big spooky hooded bastard was standing right next to me. His hood was covering his face, but I knew he was watching me, and I knew he was evil. The second one I see is a smallish gremlin-type creature that's got pointy features and is a browny green color. very similar to the one in the painting, but I had seen him before I had seen the painting, or even knew what sleep paralysis was. He normally appears when I'm on my back and restricts my breathing and speaks in a weird whispery language. I woke up once, and he was crouching in the corner of the ceiling. When I looked at him, he turned his head and looked right at me and smiled. I woke up on my side once, and I could hear him behind me, speaking in his freaky language, and then I felt his snake-like tongue going in my ear and making a slithery noise. I can't tell you how glad I was when I found out that there was a scientific explanation for it and that I wasn't actually being haunted. I can't explain how so many people with sleep paralysis see similar demons, and how we all just know that the things we are seeing are evil, but it's something I choose not to think about too much for the sake of ever being able to sleep again. I have a few different sleep paralysis demons and one sort of sleep paralysis guardian angel. The demon ones are the usual shadowy figures standing over me or by my bedroom door. The worst one was while I was lying on my side with my back to the door, and it felt like someone got into bed behind me, under the covers, and put their arm round my waist. Then it felt like they were cuddling into me, and I could feel breath on my neck. It felt like they cuddled me for about half an hour. All this time I'm trying not to show that I'm panicking because it feels like I'm getting cuddled by a skeleton with claws. It was only about the second or maybe third time I'd had sleep paralysis, so I nearly had a heart attack when this thing felt like it was moving in closer to kiss me behind the ear. Worst of all, it whispered, "Not yet. You're not ready yet. I'll come back when you are." To me, it sounded disappointed and excited. It felt like it was silently telling me it meant that it was coming back when I was about to die. Scared the fucking shit out of me. My sleep paralysis guardian angel was a weird experience. I'd been getting sleep paralysis on and off for about 18 months by this point, so I could usually tell straight away when it was happening. At first, I thought it was the usual demon things beside my bed, but when I looked properly, I realized I could clearly see a man kneeling next to my bed smiling at me. It wasn't a creepy smile, more like a parent coming in to check on their kid. He looked like he was dressed in a 50s style suit and hat. He didn't say anything, although I got the sense he was letting me know everything was all right, and he'd look after me. The strangest thing about my sleep paralysis guardian angel was that I felt like I knew him. Almost like when you see a relative you were around a lot while you were really young and then didn't see for years, if that makes sense. I only ever hear about people seeing the demon things. I've always wondered if anyone else has seen any guardian angel type things as well.